When you think about Islamic thought, and especially Sufism, some names, well, some names just really echo through history. You know what I mean?
Oh,
The-
absolutely.
And for anyone out there really trying to get a handle on it, Ibn al-Arabi's got to be, well, he's one of the big ones.
For sure. One of the giants in the field.
Yeah, yeah. So today, we thought we'd dive into a text of his that honestly is not as widely known as some of his others, but it's really fascinating stuff. We're looking at Mawaqi al Nujum.
Settings of the stars, yeah. Beautiful title.
It is. And you know what I really find interesting about Mawaqi al Nujum?
What's that?
It's just so focused. It really just goes deep on these fundamental stages of spiritual realization. Surrender, faith, true goodness.
Right. It's like Ibn al-Arabi's taking us on a guided tour of the mystical path, but he's doing it in this super concentrated way.
Exactly, exactly. And to really understand this, I mean, really understand it, we can't just look at any old copy of this thing.
No, no, of course not.
We got to go deeper. So we've been delving into, well, almost like historical detective work, you could say. Looking at the scholarship, the original manuscripts, really trying to uncover exactly what Ibn al-Arabi intended.
Manuscript analysis can be absolutely fascinating, like piecing together a puzzle across centuries.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's our goal today. We want to understand, I mean, really understand the journey of this text through time and why those latest scholarly efforts, the ones to create like the most accurate version possible, they really matter.
Because it's all about getting as close as we can to the source.
Exactly.
And with classical Islamic texts, hand copied over centuries, well, you can imagine the variations that would inevitably pop up.
Right.
That's where critical editions come in. They're crucial for navigating those complexities. Mawaqi al Nujum has been published before, for sure, but this new critical edition, it really takes things up a notch. A much more rigorous approach, looking at the earliest surviving copies.
Yeah, so let's talk about this edition. It's the 2022 one by Abrar Ahmed Shahi, published by the Ibn al-Arabi Foundation. And what really sets it apart, they used 7, count them 7, of the absolute earliest manuscripts out there.
And some of these manuscripts, they have incredible stories behind them.
Oh, I know.
Take the Yusuf Aga 5001 manuscript, for example.
Okay.
It was copied by Sadruddin Qunawi, who was not only Ibn al-Arabi's stepson, but also one of his closest disciples.
Wow.
We're talking about a direct link to the source. It even has what are considered to be Ibn al-Arabi's actual signatures in there.
Wait, really? That's amazing.
And Sama records these spiritual audition notes. Think of it like his own comments on the text, perhaps. It's incredible.
That's like having, I don't know, a fingerprint from the author right there on the page.
Exactly. And while it does have some water damage, the fact that it was chosen as the primary source for this edition really speaks volumes about its importance.
Oh, yeah, definitely. So then there's this other one, Bayezid 3750.
Ah, yes. Copied in 1380 CE, but here's the really cool part. It has a documented lineage that can be traced back to a copy made in Cordoba, get this, around 1199 or 1200 CE.
So basically, almost right when Ibn al-Arabi was writing the original.
Pretty much. It gives us such a clear line back to the text's earliest circulation.
Wow. It's amazing, isn't it? Like you're tracing the original dissemination, almost in real time.
Exactly.
And then you've also got the Shahid Ali 1431 manuscript from the late 13th century. This one just sounds so detailed. Chapter titles in red ink, sequential numbering, and even the layout, 17 lines per page with poems aligned to the left.
That's significant because it's thought to reflect Ibn al-Arabi's own preferred style.
Oh, wow. So all these little details really build a picture of, authenticity.
They do. And we shouldn't forget about some of the other manuscripts that were used.
Right, right. Like what were some of the others?
Well, there's the Majlis Shor-Milli 594 manuscript. It's an early one, but unfortunately incomplete. It also has those red titles we talked about, and a claimed origin that traces back to an even earlier version.
Wow, that's going way back.
Then there's the Fakhr al-Din al-Khurasani manuscript. This one's a bit later, but it has annotations that suggest it was copied from original sources. And it's got a Yemeni origin, which is interesting.
Huh. Different part of the world. So it's really interesting how, even with the water damage, the Yusuf Aga manuscript is still prioritized.
Right. It really shows you how much emphasis is placed on that direct link to Ibn al-Arabi and his closest circle.
So it's almost like how we weigh historical evidence.
Exactly. And that's where you see a real shift compared to earlier editions.
Ah,
The ones from, say, the early 20th century, they often didn't provide this level of detailed manuscript information.
hmm
And it seems like a lot of them relied on later printed versions, which, could have introduced interpretations that weren't actually in the earliest sources.
I see. So they're kind of potentially building on, someone else's interpretation rather than going right back to the root.
Precisely. Shahi's work, it's really a deliberate return to that original manuscript evidence.
It's like hitting the reset button.
In a way, yes. And that's why it's so crucial. So, for example, when we're talking about a core concept like, let's say, Islam in this text,
Yep.
knowing that the Yusuf Aga manuscript has those close ties to Ibn al-Arabi himself, well, we can be much more confident that the phrasing, the way it's presented there, it reflects Ibn al-Arabi's understanding.
It makes you really appreciate, I don't know, the level of care that goes into establishing an accurate text.
Oh, absolutely.
So if we're trying to sum all this up, I guess the big takeaway is this new critical edition of Mawaqi al Nujum. It gives us the most, well, I guess, trustworthy understanding of the text we've ever had.
Yeah.
And that's because of all this meticulous work going back to those oldest, most authoritative manuscripts.
Precisely. Especially with the Yusuf Aga manuscript, with its unique connection to Ibn al-Arabi.
Yeah, just all those connections, incredible.
And I don't know about you, but when I think about the sheer effort it takes to establish an accurate version of a centuries-old work like this, it really makes you think about the enduring power of ideas and the level of dedication that's required to ensure that these ideas, that they can be understood across time, across centuries.
Yeah, really does.
And it makes you wonder, with how much information we have flying around today, how are we doing in terms of preserving ideas, making sure they're understood accurately for future generations? I mean, it's a big question.
Yeah, it really is something to think about.
It is.
So much to consider there.